Arizona football gets a statement win, and Brent Brennan deserves a massive shout out.
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. This show is brought to you today by FanDuel. All right, at FanDuel, you got the NFL going on. You got college football. You got all kinds of good stuff. Check it out at FanDuel.com. All right, Arizona gets a massive victory against the Utah Utes, and this is a game that we need to give a lot of credit to Brent Brennan and the coaching staff. Now, again, I've been pretty hard on Brent Brennan, but you know what? Sometimes coaches have to make difficult decisions, and he made some difficult decisions here that I believe will come to light sooner than later, but we will get to that. But first, I want to talk about the defense. One thing that I have been a big fan, I've been a fan of Duane Akina this whole time. I like Duane Akina. I think he's a good coach. I think he understands football in a next level light. Listen, against Kansas State, I know it wasn't perfect, but I thought 24 points should have been good enough to win the game. I thought it was great against NAU, but I also like, too, that he's not somebody that ever throws players under the bus. He takes the blame and he says, I need to do better. Against Utah, you saw it. This was a massive performance by this football team on the defensive side, and it started in the trenches. Was really, really excited to see Isaiah Johnson get more burn against because I do believe that Chuba, while he can do some good things, I believe Isaiah Johnson is just more active. I believe he can do more. And then also you see Stanley Taufo also was a very nice addition. Trey Smith. Everybody, Ty, the defensive line was solid across the board, and it did not allow Utah and that running game to push them around. As a matter of fact, it was the exact opposite. They kind of pushed Utah back into the backfield. It was incredibly impressive. And also, guess what? It made Jacob Manu look better. It made Tay Brown look better. The front was fantastic, and I don't think anybody could have thought going into this game that the front was going to push around Utah, but that's exactly what it did. If you were to tell me that Utah was going to have 84 yards in this game, I would have not believed you. I would have not seen that because it was just completely different from what we saw. Now, the thing that also I think you need to look at is the secondary was also lights out. With the secondary, it got to start with Tacario Davis. Now, I think you wish that Tacario had some better hands. I get all that, but you know what? It is what it is. He had a ton of pass deflections. Not only did he have a ton of pass deflections, he was just kind of all over the place. Dorian Singer was good, but Tacario was around. Tacario stripped the ball from him, did a lot of really good different things. And the secondary, again, Genesis Smith, again, got to give him a ton of credit, was basically everywhere. And again, we've talked about it. That's an NFL player. That's what an NFL player looks like, and that's where it is. That's kind of where it's at. When I watch this defense, though, it just made me incredibly proud because, again, like I said, I think Duane Akina is a good coach. I really do. I do believe that he's also somebody that just kind of understands football, and he's a football lifer, and this was just a nice performance. I also think you saw, too, that sometimes you need to be able to get some new blood in there, and I know Isaiah Johnson's played a little bit, but he needs to play, in my opinion, he needs to be playing 35, 38, 40 snaps. He's huge. He's big. He's quick. He can just do a lot of different things for this defense, and it was exciting to see. When you watch him, you can just see that, he just adds another level that Chuba just doesn't necessarily have. And then, like I said, a linebacker, this was Jacob Manu's best game of the season by a mile. He was everywhere, and it just kind of showed up with the D-line. Tay Brown, we got to give him a ton of credit, like I said. And then just basically everybody. Emmanuel Carnley, got to give him a ton of kudos. Again, with Marquise Groves-Killebrew out, Carnley stepped in, and he was good. He has a very bright future. And not only does he have a bright future, he is a player that I think it's fair to say at this stage in the game is going to be he's going to be a real force. Trayden Stukes obviously looks like he's going to be dealing with an injury for a while, so that's obviously a bummer. But I'm kind of at the point now with this team where you've seen it now. and again, I know Cam Rising's out. I don't care. This is still a team that went in and beat Oklahoma State. It's a good football team. So anybody out there that's trying to diminish it, is saying it's not that big of a win, well, you're full of it, because it is a big win. And I think everybody kind of knows that it was a big win, because Arizona just Arizona handed it to them. Not only did Arizona hand it to them, this looked like if they were to play a bunch of different times, that Arizona would beat them pretty much 8 out of 10 times, something like that. So again, a massive shout out to the defensive side of the football. Now we're going to get to the offensive side here in just a second, but first, FanDuel. All right, FanDuel, all kinds of good stuff with FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com to look at odds, all kinds of good stuff. Now, here's the deal with FanDuel. You can go to FanDuel, and so when you get if you hey, NFL fans, there's a big return on FanDuel right now, America's #1 sports book. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game and you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play all at FanDuel. And again, NFL's here, college football is here, NBA's right around the corner. As always, you know that your money is good at FanDuel. Everybody uses FanDuel. So again, check it out, FanDuel.com. Another one, you're going to thank me later on this one. FanDuel, that's where it is at. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now let's talk a little bit about the offense. Now, with the offense, man, I got to listen, I was told Thursday, and we'll see I was told Thursday that, there was going to be a change in how this was all going about. It was really, really good. Listen, Dino Babers, he did some good things in the past, but I think the game has passed him by. That offense, the first 3 weeks, that it was atrocious. It just wasn't good. You're getting Matt Adkins in, and not only getting Matt Adkins in, but I think having a far more intricate role in the offense, I think showed it immediately. And I think that started with the tight end position. Listen, Kean Burnett, and we've been talking about for the longest time, Kean Burnett is a massive problem for anybody. He should be a really, really good football player, because he is a really, really good football player. And he wasn't targeted at all. Not only was he not targeted at all, 5 times, he wasn't really utilized. This guy has to be a difference maker out there. Not only does he have to be a difference maker out there, he has to be somebody that we saw. 5 catches, 75 yards, a touchdown. And the thing with Kean is that he catches everything that is in his radius. So it was wild that he was not targeted. And that to me is something that you got to give Matt Adkins a ton of credit for. Because that wasn't happening before. Kean, to me, can be that guy that can be that number 2 wide receiver, even though he's a tight end outside of T-Mac. I believe, and I've thought about this with Kean from day one, I believe that Kean can play in the NFL. Not only do I believe Kean can play in the NFL, I believe he can be a 10-year starter. I think he's got that kind of potential to him. And I think people that know also just kind of know that, yeah, Kean Burnett is that dude. And so Matt Adkins being far more involved was a very, very big thing for Arizona. And I think with this team, you also know that you needed to be a little bit more innovative. Arizona actually throwing on first down. Now, again, there are things that Arizona maybe should have run the ball a little bit more. I think with Kedrick Reesino, I think with Quali Conley, you should be able to, maybe stay with the ground pound a little bit, but you were at least trying to keep Utah off balance. And that was something that was not happening at all under Dino Babers. So I got to give Matt Adkins a ton of credit on that. Also, got to get the offensive line a lot of credit, because the offensive line was absolutely exquisite in this game. Big Rhino, you got Deuced in there as well, the Deuce boost. You saw it, and it just kind of was. You saw it, and it was just impressive. And I think that's where it's kind of at with this. I do think that we're also kind of at the stage too where Noah looked better out there. Now again, Noah left some plays on the table. I get all that, but I also think that he looked much better. And the thing with Noah too is that when the chips were all down, Noah Fifita was the dude that was making those plays, that was going down the football field and just causing problems. Again, he's a gem of a football player. He's tough. He's got emotion behind him. We're privileged to be able to watch him. And that's why, I never really chalked any of this up to Noah. I chalked so much of this up to Dino Babers. Either way, Matt Atkins has been a fresh breath. Okay. Now, we are going to talk in just a second about where we're at with this team and Brent Brennan. But first, Game Time. All right, check it out. Download the Game Time app today. All kinds of really good stuff. Use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Now, listen, with FanDuel, I know somebody that used FanDuel and it worked for them. Game Time, it very much worked for them. And again, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. I know somebody that was trying to get into the Alamo Bowl last year and they couldn't get in. And so buddy Jason Shearer said to him, well, why don't you check out Game Time? He hopped on Game Time and he had cheap tickets within 15 minutes. That's what Game Time does for you. Check it out. Again, download the Game Time app, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now let's talk a little bit about where Arizona then is on the with Brent Brennan. I got to give Brent Brennan a ton of credit. And listen, it's hard to fire your friends. I get that, or to basically tell your friends that you're not going to be in as big a role. But you know what? Bringing Matt Atkins is that was big. And again, I think he knew that at this point that it was something that I think just had to be done. You have to be able to make big plays, and you have to be able to have an offense that is, suitable to the kind of talent you have. You're not going to have a T-Mac next year. There's going to be other guys that are going to be gone. Big Jonah is going to be gone. Josh Baker is going to be gone. In the day of the transfer portal, tomorrow is really promised to nobody. So there's that, and he made that. And you know what? He got Matt Atkins more involved, and that needs to happen, and that needs to continue to happen. Now, was the offense perfect? No. Noah missed some plays, obviously, but just seeing Kean Burnett in the manner in which he did, the manner in which he dominated fall camp was a real blessing. And just how he was able to go about using it, that was something that was just fantastic. And the line was much better. Throwing on first down was huge. Again, I got to give Brent Brennan credit. Now, you could say, well, I think the hardest thing for a lot of people to do is to stop throwing good money after bad. And I think that's the case. Arizona's now 1-0 in the conference. You're going into, then you got Texas Tech this coming week. If Arizona wins that, you're in some really good shape. Then you got Colorado. So Arizona, I think you got to feel pretty good about where everything is at this point with that. But big shout out to Brent Brennan. Made some tough decisions, and we'll see what he's going to acknowledge, what he won't. But Matt Atkins taking on a much bigger role was something that is a very poorly kept secret around the program. So, but right now, Arizona's 1-0. You got Texas Tech coming up, but again, this was a massive win for the Wildcats, and this is something that we just can't look past. You got to sit here and say, man, you know what, they deserved it, and he deserved it. The coaching staff put together a massively impressive game plan, and they out-schemed. And then Kyle Whittingham, I thought it was interesting when he said that. With this team, you knew that Noah Fifita was a problem, and Noah Fifita, not only was he a problem, he was somebody that has basically taken him down before. glad that Arizona's got him. And again, that drive down the field, that was absolutely immense, and just a huge shout out. All right, now tomorrow we're going to get back talking about Utah, but then we're also going to be talking about Texas Tech, everything that goes into that. Arizona controls its own destiny at this point. But as always, very much appreciate you listening to the post game. Bear down, back the A, and we will be back with you tomorrow.